Hello, hello everyone. How are you? Nice to meet you all. Well, um, we're gonna give it a couple of minutes to let people in, and we'll get started right after. In the meantime, you can tell me in the chat if you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about during this webinar. Be happy to address it. Okay, I guess we'll get started, and that will maybe bring in some people in. So I'm happy to see you. Happy to talk with you. Today, the webinar is about Salesforce Marketing Cloud Advertising Studio Sunset. We'll be talking about what is Advertising Studio for those of you who don't know. We'll be talking about what Salesforce proposes as a migration path. We'll talk about what it implies, how you prepare for a migration, what you need to know. And if you have any questions during my presentation, I'll be happy to just answer them. You have a chat on the right, so don't be shy. Um, and yeah, for those of you that have a hard stop or anything, the recording will be available and you'll be able to rewatch it anytime. Let's get started. So, so about the agenda, I told you we're talking about a small intro and then what is Salesforce Marketing Cloud Advertising Studio. We'll talk about Data Cloud ad audiences, how to migrate Ad Studio, and what alternatives you have. Well, let's start. First, a little presentation about myself. I'm Munir. I'm a Salesforce marketing champion. I've been working in marketing since I started my career after a degree in engineering. Um, I'm dedicated to help Salesforce Marketing Cloud customers. And for this, I founded Cezium in 2018 in Paris, in France. We started consulting and then we became an ISV partner and eventually we built in 2023 Cezium Ads, which is now a competitor of Advertising Studio. Just not to scare you off, there will be a few words about Cezium Ads at the end, but the main focus of this webinar is really Ad Studio and how you migrate it. So, Advertising Studio. I guess some of you have received this email by Salesforce, the notification of non-renewal of Advertising Studio. And what it says, it's that beginning August 15 in 2026, you won't be able to renew your MC advertising contract. If you renew before, you'll be able to continue to use the tool. But if you don't do it before, then you'll have somehow to migrate it or still or move to or just stop using this feature. So the key points, you can continue to use the product and renew it before August 15. And what Salesforce proposes here is to use Data Cloud ad audiences as a replacement product. But to use and that means you'll have to license an instance of Data Cloud, at least one. And I'll talk about this later. Just maybe a small question here. Did you all receive this email? Were you aware of these details or not at all? You can answer it in the chat if you want. So, what is Salesforce Marketing Cloud Advertising Studio? Well, Advertising Studio, first, it's a Salesforce Marketing Cloud engagement studio, meaning it's in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. It relies on Salesforce Marketing Cloud components. I mean, exact target. It's integrated in Journey Builder. So it's a full studio of Salesforce Marketing Cloud, formerly known as Exact Target. What features it proposes? It helps you connect your ad accounts, so the available destinations in Advertising Studio are Facebook, X, Google Ads, Snapchat, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. You can create custom audiences for audience matching or lookalike use cases. You can create these custom audiences on the destinations based on data extensions or files, and you can set refresh parameters in Advertising Studio. You can also create ad audiences or ad campaigns in Journey Builder. So you can create a custom audience within Journey Builder using the Journey Builder activity ad audiences. And you can even use ad campaigns to create the full campaign, but only for Facebook in Journey Builder. With a limitation though, that when you're creating an ad audience in Journey Builder, you can only use it in one journey. You can't be using it in multiple journeys. So that's Advertising Studio in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. What I can say about Advertising Studio also is that there has been no new features since a pretty long time. No new destination on Salesforce Marketing Cloud since a pretty long time. And the only, I'd say, release that impacted Advertising Studio last year was about the change in in the way Google handles consent management for audience sharing use cases. So basically, it's been the same tool for, well, I'd say at least the 5 last years. So let's now move on to how customers use Advertising Studio. From my experience, and you can argue about this, um, the Advertising Studio is mainly used to push audiences based on data extensions. So 90% of the customers use data extension based audiences, meaning it's pretty static and it can be refreshed automatically, but they don't really use it except a few in specific use cases in Journey Builder. For those who use it in Journey Builder, um, they need there's a the main issue is about volumes. You can't work with an advertising audience of less than 1,000 records matched on the destination, which means that for a lot of customers and specifically for highly targeted journeys, they don't reach the threshold, and that's why there are very few customers using the Journey Builder components. And again, they're mainly using the ad audience one for this one. They're not using the ad campaign component. And the common process, I'm talking about this because it'll be very important for the migration. The common process is that the media team asks CRM to provide them with CRM audiences for their ad campaigns. So the way it works today is that from what I've seen, you have two separate teams, one handling media, one handling Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and there's just this tool that helps them work together. And it goes through email, phone calls, or anything, but the media teams, the media team is usually the one asking for CRM audiences and not the other way around, which is a pity if you ask me. So, what's behind the scenes of Advertising Studio? Because if you're going to consider a migration, you need to know what was built apart from the Advertising Studio audiences. So, for every Ad Studio audience you're using, there is a data extension that was created by Salesforce Marketing Cloud users. And this data extension was filtered based on the media team needs, what they asked for, and filtered based on also a consent, customer consent. You're not allowed, I'm reminding this, you're not allowed to share this customer data with ad networks like Facebook or Google Ads if you haven't clearly gathered customer consent. So this should be one of the filters. So for every ad audience, you have this data extension that has been created. But that's not all. If the ad audience has automatic refresh settings, usually that means that there was an automation that was built to refresh the source data extension too. So see it like this. For every ad studio audience, you have a data extension and you have an automation behind. And these components, you will need them to migrate to a new tool. And if we're talking about Journey Builder audiences, well, you have a problem here because when you go to Advertising Studio UI, you're able to see all your active or error or in progress audiences, but you can't see your Journey Builder audiences. So if the company you're working with doesn't have somewhere a file or somewhere a list of journeys using ad audiences, you'll have a problem at migration. Now let's talk about the business process. When we're working with Advertising Studio, there are two things to consider: the ad destination monitoring and the ad audiences monitoring. When you connect Advertising Studio to Facebook, for example, Business Manager, the connection must be up all the time if you want to push audiences and refresh them. And sometimes the connection can break because it's based on the credentials of a user that went, because the API changed. There can be lots of reasons, or the ad account changed, anything. Um, and also, you have to monitor the audiences. Uh, and the audiences, you can have a problem with the audiences on Salesforce Marketing Cloud. You have a problem when you send them, and you can have a problem on the destination network. They received the audience, but it was not hashed. It's in error. The audience was not refreshed properly, etc. So when it comes to monitoring either the destinations or the audiences, it's usually a joint work. You have a key user on the media team, which who is using the custom audiences for ad campaigns, and you have the key user of Advertising Studio on the Marketing Cloud team, who can answer if there is a problem with a specific audience or destination. So you gotta map all this before starting considering any migration. So what's next? Told you Salesforce pushes for using Data Cloud ad audiences. So what is Data Cloud ad audiences? Basically, it's an external activation target in Data Cloud. So it relies on Data Cloud objects and integrations. What you do is that you connect your ad accounts, and the available destinations you have are Meta, Google Ads, Snapchat, Amazon, and LinkedIn. You can notice here that you don't have the same destinations that you have in Advertising Studio, and also that you're just pushing segments here. So you're going to create segments in Data Cloud, and push them to destinations. If you want to keep the use cases like using an audience in Journey Builder or populating an audience from Journey Builder, then you'll have either to use Salesforce Marketing Cloud as an activation target or as a source. And well, anyway, you gotta leverage the connection between Salesforce Marketing Cloud engagement and Data Cloud to try and replicate the use case. But it won't be as smooth as an activity, a Journey Builder activity. So that's what you can keep in mind. But also, if I'm talking about what it takes to create an audience in Data Cloud, add audiences, if you license an instance of Data Cloud just for this migration, you'll have to build and to set up this instance. What that means is that you gotta connect and stream customer data, transactional data, or any source you have to Data Cloud. Well, anything basically you're using to segment in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you have to map and standardize to the unified customer profile, perform identity resolution. You got to apply privacy filters for compliance during activation. You know, these opt-ins that you're using for all your Salesforce Marketing Cloud engagement campaigns, well, you'll have to use them also in Data Cloud. You've got to build the audience segments, and then you'll be able to activate them. It'll be hashed like it's hashed when you're using Advertising Studio, and you'll be able to monitor and optimize campaign in Data Cloud ad audiences. You have a basic monitoring, and you can have an advanced view of your performance if you're using marketing intelligence in Data Cloud. So what I'm saying here is that there's a lot of work behind Advertising Studio in Salesforce Marketing Cloud engagement, but in Data Cloud, if you didn't license an instance before, you'll have some work to do also here. And whatever, even if you have licensed Data Cloud instance before, you'll have to somehow translate the work that was done there. So that's things that you have to consider before moving in. Another word about this migration to Data Cloud. Salesforce just announced this sunsetting of Advertising Studio for mid 2026. We're in the budgets period. I don't think that any company will add a Data Cloud project to their budget now. I think it's already budgeted or not. So if you're considering a migration, or if you'll be forced to do a migration, maybe just if procurement needs some input, just remember that you'll need to set up a lot of things in Data Cloud, and that you have to count this. About feature parity, there are two main issues when it comes to feature parity between Advertising Studio and Data Cloud ad audiences. As of now, of course, we're in just saying this for eventual replays. We're in late September 2025. As of now, the two main issues that there is, the first one is the destinations. X, Twitter, and Pinterest are not supported by Data Cloud ad audiences. Well, Pinterest is not that used amongst customers, but X can be very used. So that could be a small issue. But the main issue for me, because Salesforce Marketing Cloud Advertising Studio is mainly used by enterprise companies, and they're using it in instances that use multiple business units. When it comes to Data Cloud, if you want to have separate data environments, you've got to use data spaces, and data spaces are an additional SKU in Data Cloud It's basically like a business unit, but you'll have to repeat the setup in each data space. So that's also an additional SKU. I think list price for data spaces available on Salesforce website are around 60K per year. But keep in mind that if there are multiple business units, you also have to consider if you need data spaces. If you're not going to use data spaces, that may change your business process and the way you use data, the way you interact with media teams, etc. About more connectors, we have the question in the chat. Um, as of now, they recently added Snapchat, so that was recent. Maybe they're gonna add TikTok, but TikTok has been on slides for like 2 years on for Data Cloud and didn't make it to any release for now. Um, the current Salesforce communication speech is what they're saying today is here's data cloud, here are available destinations, and you can complete with the likes of trade desk on data cloud if you need other destinations. So I'm not sure they're gonna add lots of destinations, but I could be wrong. If you see anything in a roadmap about other channels, I'll be happy to to learn this. The only thing I saw, but again, I saw it a couple of years ago, was TikTok, and it still didn't make it. So yeah, maybe. I can answer also on another level. Um, Platforms that allow today for audience sharing use cases and that are not covered. There is Reddit and there is TikTok and there's Line and other Asian platforms. So yeah, they still can add, but I think they'll maybe we'll know more at Dreamforce. So how do you migrate or how do you prepare for this migration? Well, you need to know a couple of things. Um, what happens when you suppress an ad audience in Advertising Studio? So b- when you're going to suppress the advertising audiences from Advertising Studio, what will happen is that the custom audience will be suppressed in the destination account for Facebook, X, Snap, and Pinterest. For Google Ads, the customer, and I think also LinkedIn, but I haven't had time to verify this. But for Google Ads, the custom audience will remain on the destination ad account. Meaning, when you're gonna shut down Advertising Studio, it's not an effective shutdown. You've got to tell Salesforce that you don't use it anymore for. So what will happen is that you will suppress the audiences. If you suppress the audiences, you will lose them on the destination ad account if you start by suppressing them. So there's maybe a way to avoid this. I'll talk about it later. And also, there's another limitation when you consider the migration is that you don't have an easy way to extract an existing list of your active audiences. So when you're going to Salesforce Advertising Studio UI and you're looking for your data extension based audiences, you'll have to go through every and each and every one of them to retrieve probably in a Google Sheet or an Excel file the source data extension, the refresh setting, and the destination. And you also have to go through the error audiences because sometimes you have an active audience that just was in error for the last refresh, but it's still used by business. So you'll have to do this manually. The UI is quite slow, so it's not something that you can do quickly, and that's just for the list of audiences. Once you have the list of audiences, you'll also have to retrieve other data that I'm talking about just after. And for Journey Builder audiences, you have no way in Advertising Studio UI to know where, in which journey, and in which version you're using an ad audience activity. So you'll just see in Advertising Studio how many active audiences you have. And if you've gone through all your data extension audiences and their missing ones, you'll know that you'll have some in Journey Builder, but you won't be able to know where. So hopefully, the CRM team have a Google sheet or something which references which journeys are using Ad Studio components. The migration scenarios that you have, if we're considering Salesforce ecosystem only, if you already use Salesforce Data Cloud, well, there's no proper setup. It's already set up. So for supported destinations, you'll just have to work on the business process that will change because it's not the same platform, and there are some things that don't work the same way. And also, it's probably not the same kind of users that you have on Data Cloud than the ones that were using Marketing Cloud and talking to the media team. And also, what you'll have to do is try not to break existing ad campaigns during the migration. I'll talk about this later. For X and Pinterest, how to do if you're remaining in Salesforce Data Cloud and planning to use ad audiences. You can work with your system integrator and create an external activation target to maybe an AWS S3 bucket, and then manual uploads to destinations or any way to automate this. These are things you can do. Basically, you're replacing the tool by um, custom development, but it's it's something you can do in Salesforce Data Cloud. The second scenario is you license Data Cloud just for this migration, or you use another CDP, but that would be the same thing. You'll have to set up Data Cloud or the other CDP first. If we're talking about setup in Data Cloud, you'll need to retrieve consent. I'm talking about this because the consent management in Salesforce Data Cloud is not that easy to understand as a consent data model or to use. And you'll need to estimate a couple of things. Besides Data Cloud ad audiences licenses that are around, I don't know, $2,500 per audience per year, you'll have to estimate your Data Cloud credits for the data integrations you'll need, the unification, the eventual identity resolution, the segmentations you'll need, and the data spaces if you're moving from multiple business units. You've got to estimate also your integration effort, your upskilling effort, because the teams will have to learn how to use the new tool, and your change management too. So it's a whole project. So don't take it just like a plug and play thing. And then you'll have to migrate audiences, which is another story that I'm talking about just after. I don't know if that's clear, but yeah, if you want to use Salesforce Data Cloud or any CDP, you'll have to work on the data sources and recreate all the segments and prepare them and prepare the destinations and the people. So, what can you prepare on Salesforce Marketing Cloud side of the project? So, if you want to maintain the existing active audiences, um, usually what happens is that you have existing active audiences. Half of them nobody knows what they're used for, because usually communication between media team and CRM team doesn't work that well. So half of them, they don't know what they're used for, but they could break something critical for the business. So let's say you want to maintain all the existing active audiences. First thing you have to do is list all the existing audiences with, as I said, the sources, the refresh settings, and the destinations. Um, by the way, I got some Google Sheets for these prepared for these migrations. If it interests you, I'll drop it on our website in a couple of weeks, maybe. So once you have the existing audiences and you have the details about the source data extension and the refresh and the destination, you have not finished yet. You have to find the source data extension path. I mean, in which folder is it? Because you'll need to map it again and to find the details of this data extension. So um, usually what I use is SFMC companion or deselect search to find the source data extension path. Um, it's a bit easier with SFMC companion because you can just extract the path. With deselect search, you'll have to you can click the link, but you don't necessarily have easily the path that you just can copy paste in your Google Sheet. So you find the source data extension path, where it is, which folder, etc. If we're talking enterprise companies, some of them have thousands of folders. I've seen this, and I even had some cases where SFMC companion was not able to retrieve everything. Once you have the source data extensions, you're not done yet. You need to find the source automation. As many of you know, it's not easy when you have a data extension to know how it is refreshed or even when it was refreshed, because the only date you have on a data extension when you're watching it is the last time the structure of the data extension was modified, and not the last time the content of the data extension was updated. So you'll have to find the source automation. Again, SFMC companion can be your best friend. And once you find the automation, hopefully you'll have the segmentation criteria that you can retrieve, the refresh schedule of the automation that can be different from the refresh schedule of the advertising audience in Advertising Studio. And once you have all this, you have approximately your scope of work for the migration. If there is an existing documented business process, get this document and set up a meeting to adapt it to the new solution you choose, the new CDP or the new data, or using data cloud, because you're not going to work exactly the same way. These two teams, they struggle to work together. So you have, there's usually between these teams a lot of turnover. So you have to create and to document the new business process. If there's already one, leverage it. So how do you manage existing custom audiences in destination? So the normal process when you migrate is that you create the custom audiences on your new platform, and you will lose the ones previously created in Advertising Studio. If you have enough time, what you can do is you can break existing connections between Advertising Studio and destinations. What I mean is you delete the, for example, the Facebook connection. And if you can break it, it's better, meaning maybe the user that set up this connection, you erase their credentials, but in any way, you have to break the connection. If you break the connection, the audience on the destination network won't be suppressed, even when you suppress it from Advertising Studio, because there's no link anymore. do not do this in a short time frame. Is if you disconnect Salesforce from Facebook ad account and then you suppress, in reality, they do not suppress the connection instantly in their systems, and they'll still use the API to suppress the audience, even if you have disconnected the ad account. So it happened to me. So you gotta let a couple of days sink in, or to just break the connection. Why are we breaking the connection? Is to keep the ad audiences on the destination, and once they're still there, the ad campaigns are still running. But how do we use them in the new platform? So in the new platform, which you won't be able to do on Data Cloud, but on other platforms you could do it. The idea is to retrieve the audience ID from the destination. So let's say you're working with Facebook. You go to the custom audience on Facebook, you expand the view, you'll be able to display an attribute called ID, audience ID. I don't know exactly how it's named, but it's the audience ID. And this ID, if you use it with the new platform, with the same name of the audience, so the same label and the same ID, you'll be able to populate the same custom audience at the destination. So you'll be able to just update with the new platform the existing one that was created with Advertising Studio. So that's a bit of additional work. That's not what I'd recommend, because the easiest way is really to map with business users what active audiences they have, maybe program a new set of active audiences, program with them the day they will start using the new ones, and maybe just roll on this way. But sometimes they just want not to be disturbed. And also, it's hard to sell them this transformation or this migration, as it's just a marketing CRM migration. So the media team just doesn't understand why you're breaking their audiences. So they can be a bit well, not motivated to work with you on a full roll on. So you see how you can manage this, but in any case, you'll need a lot of information before you work on this, and you'll need time, because Salesforce Advertising Studio, even when the connection breaks, keeps the API link alive for at least a couple hours. So if you don't have any question here, what do we have to prepare on the new audience sharing platform? And if we're using Data Cloud, for example. So you need to prepare the segments with the refresh settings, the filters, and also using consent. I'm saying this because usually in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, we have sendable data extensions that are already filtered on opt-in subscribers. So sometimes we don't have to go look for it. In Data Cloud, that's not the case, so you'll have to pay attention to this consent. Also, because platforms like Google Ads are paying more attention to privacy these days also. So you'll have to connect the destinations. What you have to prepare is you'll need the contacts within the media team for the admins of each ad account. And my tip for you is, if you're able to create a special user on these ad accounts for the app you're using, either it's Data Cloud Ad Audiences or any other, that will help you avoid losing connections when a critical user leaves. Sometimes, most of the time, you're using the ad account admin to perform the connection between your CDP or Salesforce Advertising Studio and the destination. And the day this admin quits the company, the credentials are suppressed and the connection doesn't work anymore. So you can create a special user on most destinations, not Facebook, but other destinations for for the connection. Prepare your migration by destination, and if it's a multiple business units setup, by brand. Even if you're considering data cloud, sending million of records to any destination at a glance seems pretty basic capability, but that doesn't mean destination can ingest it the same way. Um, if I take the example of Facebook ingests files by buckets of 10,000 records. Google by buckets of 100,000 records. So what happens is that they'll ingest different files when you send your 3 million contact populations, and it will take some time to completely populate the custom audience within the destination. When you're migrating systems, you can have lots and lots of audiences to migrate, and maybe you'll shoot everything the same time. The problem is the API on the other side is not designed for all this bulk um, custom audience creation. So you will lose a couple of days, and you can also have errors if you send everything at the same time. So you have to create a little roadmap and just send one after another, and also um, the refresh will be much faster because it will work only on the delta. So the refresh will work better. But the first thing you'll have, there's no point in shooting everything at once. So you have to prepare this migration by destination and by brand and try to leverage these delays, the matching delays. Also, you have to prepare the users, train them on the new platform, the new process, and you have to find a business sponsor because you're going to need it. You're going to need to have the right contacts, to have the right escalation process for each platform. Do not forget, there are a lot of dollars involved when it comes to advertising. So these processes can be business critical. You can be performing this migration during the holiday season with lots of promotions ongoing. And so you're going to need a good business sponsor following you to help you maybe manage the critic situations. So I've put here, from my experience, a couple of metrics that you can rely on. Um, it's just informational, not. Uh, do not believe it will work every time the same way. But when you're preparing on Salesforce Marketing Cloud, so you're gathering audiences, source data extensions, source automations, filters, and so on, you can count around 2-3 man days per 100 audiences. Um, that's what we've seen. If you got the good Google Sheets, you know exactly what you're looking for. You have people used to work with different navigators to be able to open Salesforce Marketing Cloud on different um, screens. You can do this in 2-3 man days. Um, the preparation time on the new tool without the setup of data cloud, I mean data streams and so on, just the data cloud audiences and the related segments. You got to count about 10 audiences per day for the one-shot segments that are pretty easy. These ones, they will build once. You have the filters available and you just create it and push it. But if you got to create flows to refresh automatically audiences, maybe you can count, testing included, 3 audiences per day. Um, and you've got to test this. You need to also keep one day for training the users. And as a global time frame, you can roll out everything in 1 month. In about 1 month, you can do up to 800 audiences, but really the time frame with two people on three destination for 100, 150 audiences, you can do it with two people in less than a month, taking everything into account, preparing the people, etc. If you're already the system integrator, of course, and you know the context, you know the people, you have the right contacts, you know the instance. um, Maybe just probably. So any question up to now? No, we seem okay. Okay, great. So again, this is about what Salesforce proposed. Keep in mind a couple of things. Migrating to Data Cloud ad audiences won't be just adding a SKU. It'll be much more complicated than that. Um, Adding, well, sunsetting Salesforce Advertising Studio in your Salesforce Marketing Cloud instance won't be just shutting down the tool. It'll take time. Some of you know how many automations are needed for each audience and the impact of the migration. Keep in mind also that you need to work on the process with the media team. Um, I'm talking about change management here. You got to prepare this for change management. Why? Because basically, you'll be performing a migration that is not motivated by new features. On the contrary, you may lose some features like the journey builder integration or some destinations. So you're gonna tell people, hey, you're gonna have less things, and we've got to put effort here. So prepare for this change. Maybe talk about what. Oh, sorry. Hope you didn't lose much. What I was saying is that you got to prepare for change management, and you got to prepare the teams and the media teams and the CRM teams to a project where you're moving from a tool to another tool just because the product is sunsetting, not to earn new features. So that can be a bit hard. So you can package this with all the agentic marketing use cases that will be available, maybe the potential use of marketing intelligence on data cloud with new maybe reportings and so on. But prepare for the change more than the migration. That could be the biggest hurdle of the project. And yeah, if you have any question, you can reach out either on LinkedIn or if you have my email. Or I'm just gonna put I'll put after a quick link. But anyway, on my website, I'll also be adding a couple of things that you can use for migration, like the Google Sheet you could fill for every migration and all the data that you have to gather. So if I'm back to the presentation, what are the alternatives if you don't go on Salesforce Data Cloud ad audiences? So, well, I'll start with mine. If you want to stay on Salesforce Marketing Cloud environment, you can use Cezium Ads, which is on the App Exchange. And I'll explain one or two things about Cezium Ads just after. You can also, if you're using Data Cloud and are not satisfied with the available destinations, you can use Trade Desk. If you're already a Trade Desk customer, they're on the App Exchange, and you'll be able to leverage all the destination that Data Cloud covers, but also others, obviously. And the last alternative is not using anything in Salesforce, but using third-party CDPs like Segment, High Touch, Dynamo. Just put a couple of names there, but they're all well connected to all the usual marketing and advertising destinations you could need. So just a couple of words about Cesium Ads. I promised in the beginning I won't be long about this, so just saying what it does. It's a bit like Salesforce Advertising Studio in terms of available destinations. We have Meta, Google's, X, Snap, Pinterest, and TikTok. The use cases, you can build data extension based audiences, journey builder audiences, but you can also build multi source and multi destination audiences, which means uh, that you can create audiences that are based on multiple data extensions and that are populated from Journey Builder, or connections are removed from Journey Builder, and it's a one-click install from the App Exchange. Back to question, we have a question about the cost. Um, how will the cost be now compared with all the credit consumption to how it has been from SFMC only? I don't know. What I can tell you is that you have your advertising studio economic model was based on audiences. So you were paying for a certain amount of active audiences at the same time. That's still the economic model of Data Cloud ad audiences, so they'll be the same. For list prices, we're around it's it's twice as expensive on list prices on Data Cloud ad audiences. But I I I I I think that since they're sunsetting Advertising Studio, they'll be offering to just migrate the SKUs for the same price, maybe per audience, but that doesn't take into account all the Data Cloud credit consumption that will be implied. I'm not sure Salesforce measures the right way, um, that we build automations to create data extensions that are then used in Advertising Studio, and that so we will need to segment, we will need to filter, we will need to do a lot of things before just sharing the audience. So the list price is only for audience sharing, and I think you'll have, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you'll have to estimate the credits for the segmentation, the unification, and also per data space if you need to use multiple data space. That has to come in the conversation with your Salesforce AE when talking about migration. Don't let them go talking about just add audiences SKU, because you'll have to use a lot of other things in Salesforce Data Cloud to use Data Cloud ad audiences. The migration effort from Ad Studio to Cesium, back to Cesium, last slide about Cesium. Um, there's no need to migrate automations if you're using Cesium ads, meaning the automations will remain populating the same data extensions. You'll have to move the data extensions. They'll be used the same way they were used in Advertising Studio. You'll be able to use them in Cesium ads. We have a component a bit like uh, deselect search, which help you find any data extension in any folder by typing just three letters, and it works on thousands of folders. We tested it. So That's a way to create quickly audiences in Cesium Ads. And we added an import audience feature when you basically it's especially for migrations. So the way it works, when you connect a new destination, you're able to retrieve the existing audience IDs so that when you create the new audience in Cesium Ads, you populate the same audience that was used by Advertising Studio, and there is no um, uh, there is no interruption in ad campaigns due to change in audiences and so on. So um, Cesium Ads is a package that you install in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and we specifically worked um, uh, on making it easy to switch from Advertising Studio to Cesium Ads. And we're covering for the moment the same destinations except for LinkedIn, and we have TikTok. And also maybe in terms of roadmap, we have a rich roadmap coming. So we have line ads now. In beta, we're adding two other Asian ad platforms by the end of the year and beginning 2026. And you'll also be able to connect Cesium Ads to Data Cloud as an external activation target, which will make it a bridge between Marketing Cloud engagement and Data Cloud. So that's all in the roadmap. Just maybe add in a small CTA here. If you want a demo, that's all what I'll say about Cesium Ads. But if you want a demo, you can just click the button that appeared on the screen and book a meeting with me, and I can show you how Cesium Ads work, how you can migrate from Advertising Studio to Cesium Ads, and maybe it can be an alternative path, or maybe if you're not ready to move to Data Cloud ad audiences from next summer, it can buy you time while you do your Data Cloud project. So I think we're just on time. If you have any question, you can ask them. I'm happy to um, have done this webinar. I think we had more people than expected. Thank you all. If you have any question, you can book me a meeting, or you can ask it now. I can answer it. The recording of the webinar will be available in a couple of minutes. And yes, you can reach out or add me on LinkedIn anytime. I'm pretty reactive there. So if you want any information or if you have specific question, do not hesitate to ask me. See, wait a minute if there is any question. Yeah, Rania, you'll have the link of the recording by email just after the call, the webinar. Mhm. Okay, I think we've been pretty efficient. Thank you all. Have a great day, and wish you luck with your migrations. And do not hesitate if you have any other question. See you.